All right, guys, I'm Joe Shuttle. I'm from Neutrapods. I've developed a few products for this industry and also the inventor of a certain gutter tool as well that I have a patent on. And I've been in the industry a long time and I have some knowledge about it. So if you have any questions, I can probably answer them. I'm gonna just start off right from the get-go with the products. So the first product I'll talk about is these Neutrapods. I developed them because I was cleaning the roofs of a medical complex that all had underground pop-up risers that no one could tell me where they were. The builder didn't even know where they were. They were buried under the grass. And I burned the biggest, most beautiful crop circles of dead grass you've ever seen. And I thought there's got to be another way to do this. So I started developing some way of neutralizing that. It started off as these little blue balls that kind of expanded like a bath bomb. But to scale that, it was going to be ridiculous to try to keep them from breaking in the packaging and to have them work right. So we brought it back to the drawing board and came out with this. This pouch is dissolvable. They go into the gutters and about 10 inches back, poke a hole in them anytime you use them. That way it helps accelerate the pod faster to dissolve and nothing can get by it that's not neutralized. So poke a hole in it if you use it. You put it in the gutters before the downspouts, everything coming by gets neutralized as it's going out. You can put these at the base of a downspout as well, but we recommend that you put them in something similar to like the oil pans that you could get at a flea market for $1.50, or the aluminum pans that you cook something on the grill with, to create a trough. So everything that goes into that trough bounces out neutralized. We don't recommend that you stuff them in there because they can dissolve, drop straight down, and the fluid can flow past it, killing everything downstream of it. So that's why you want to put a trough there. You can make a sprayable neutralizer with this as well. We try not to sell water. We all have water. There's no need for you to pay us to purify the water, get it package stable. You have the water. You can make your sprayable neutralizer with these, and also with the bulk powder. This is a bulk powder that Pressure Washer USA has. It's identical to ours. I think they offer a really good deal on it as well. $39 for this, and it makes a lot of neutralizer. So there's a scoop in here. The scoop is similar to the amount that's in a pod, so you can use it the same. So to make the sprayable neutralizer, we recommend that you take a 5-gallon bucket of water to start with. Tear this open, dump it in. This package takes a little longer to dissolve than the product itself, so it could potentially clog an injector. That's why we say rip them open, dump them in, stir it up. You're going to use 1 pod or 1 scoop for every 2% in strength that you're spraying. So if you're doing a house wash and you're under 2%, it's 1 pod or 1 scoop in the 5-gallon bucket. It makes 5 gallons of concentrate. That makes 50 gallons of sprayable neutralizer. If you're using 4% for asphalt shingle, that's 2 pods or 2 scoops in the 5-gallon bucket of concentrate, makes 50 gallons of product. And if you cut it 50-50 and you're going 6% on barrel tile or flat tile, still that's 3 pods, 3 scoops, or 3 pods or 3 scoops, making the 5 gallons of concentrate that makes 50 gallons of neutralizer. That's the pods. Any questions on the pods? The mango mauler. This mango mauler has been going like hotcakes all over the place. The reason being is this is the concentrate that instead of buying the watered down version of soap, you're buying the working ingredients of it. You have your own water. Put your own water in it. This little pouch Makes 130 gallons of surfactant for us to use. You can run it through proportioners, you can downstream it, use it the way you use any surfactant. A little bit makes a lot. This makes 650 gallons of surfactant, this thing right here. That's a lot of surfactant. So you're not buying the water. When you go to a register and you feel the weight of a bigger container, it doesn't mean you're getting more. You might be paying less at the register, but the end cost is higher because you're using more of that. So when you use this and you're using a manifold, a lot of people will end up dialing back from where they normally are, and they're using less because it's going further. So it just so happens to smell like mangoes, which is nice. It's a great surfactant. It does have a masking property. The real action's in the surfactant. It's designed to rinse extremely efficiently, very fast rinsing. Any questions on the mango mauler? Any at all? Mixing ratio. So if you got a proportioner? All right, so on the proportioner, your soap tank, is it about 7 gallons?
27.
27. Okay, you're a different situation. So you're gonna put at least 3 of these, or pour out 16 times 3 into that. That's gonna be your minimum ratio in that, in water mixed with that. And then if you're normally running at, say, like a 3 or 2, you're probably gonna end up at a 1. If you want it to stick even more and you love suds, I'm not a big fan of suds everywhere, but if you love suds, you can always add more and dial back more. You can, the directions are a suggestion. Customize it how you like it, but to be effective, you're only gonna need 3 of these in there. This product is the window mauler. We changed it. We changed window soap because when you have route work and you have to plan for windows not to be hot and not to do them in direct sunlight, because the squeegee starts doing this when it's hot and evaporating fast. So we have inhibitors in here that's going to delay that evaporation and keep your slide there in full sun on hot glass. This is going crazy across the country. I don't know what California's doing right now with it. They might be drinking it, I don't know, but they're clearing us out steady. And then there's some other very large window companies that are bringing this in by the pallet now. So it's definitely effective. With this, you're gonna do 1 or 2 ounces per gallon if you're doing route work, squeegee work. There's a secondary use to it where if you're washing a house, let's say or a building, we use it a lot in commercial. If they're not willing to take on the costs associated with the window washing to make it perfect, and you're doing like a good, better, best scenario presenting it to them, if they take the good, that doesn't cover the cost of water-fed poles or squeegee work, you can still leave it very well. Not perfect, because you don't have any control over the solids that are in the water and you're not squeegeeing, but you can actually take this, put 1 to 2 ounces in a foam cannon, shoot the glass, and then you're gonna rinse from the bottom up and then quickly from the top down. That's gonna leave just a little slight, you'll see it. You'll get used to seeing it. It's a slight residue that's gonna be on there that's gonna dry clear, and it won't be spotty. So this is a good addition to have on your rig. We tend to design packaging in a way that our real estate is precious on our vehicles, our rigs. We don't have room to carry everything. So we keep that in mind a lot of times with our packaging, where you can stuff it in a glove box or hide it behind your headrest or whatever you need to do. But anyway, this is a good thing to have on your rig. All right, this is a new It's been in testing for about 5 years. This is a new product that is now coming into the stores. It's called NuTopp. This product is made for roof shingles, asphalt roof shingles. If you take a roof shingle that's kind of crispy, it will put the oils back in it so it's not crispy and brittle. If they're curling up, it's going to make them flexible to where they lay back down. But the great part of it is when it lays back down, it's locking in the granulars so they're not coming off. And it's also making the shingles almost a monolithic. You could still lift them if you need to repair them, if the roofers need to repair them or something. You can still pry them. However, it's harder to get them to come up. So hurricane winds, in high wind zones, it's great because it locks it down, and you'll get a longer life out of your shingle. It's a penetrant that will then provide a coating. I'm not going to go ahead and say you can add granular at this point, but we have beta testing going on through 12 roofs of actually putting granular back onto roofs where it's missing or where it's thin. And that's actually a really big thing if you think about it, to be able to regranular a roof, because when the shingles start going bad and the granulars come off, the only thing that the roofing companies will say is tear off and replace. No other option. Now that we're hoping that through this testing that we can have the option for that. But even without that, this is a great product to rejuvenate the shingles and get them to last longer and extend out the life. Because of the ingredients that have been used in the asphalt industry for 20 years or more, it also crosses over into being able to rejuvenate asphalt. So if you think about your commercial clients and their parking lots, when they're starting to look dull like that road, you could bring it back to a black that's not as messy or as expensive as the seal coat. That's a big thing. Your clients are already budgeting that money for seal coat. The money will be there at the time that it's needed. They budget it. Same thing with the paint. You know, they have their 5-year plan. So the money's there for that asphalt. You might as well present, here's an option. And so I was going through an HOA yesterday. The HOA owns the roads that are within that HOA. The roads are extremely faded out and dry. And there's oil stains in front of every single one of the mansions that are in that community from all the service vehicles that weekly park in front of their houses. There's oil stains everywhere. When you put this product on, it rejuvenates the color back into that asphalt and hides that oil stain. So if you have very wealthy clients and very wealthy HOAs, especially on the beach, and they want everything perfect, present this. You can make a lot of money with it. Now, when it comes to the cost of this, a lot of people are going to go, it's $500 a bucket. However, you're making, if you were in a really highly competitive area, you're going to be seeking at least at the minimum 2.5% above the cleaning cost and the product cost. So you're making thousands when you use this. You're not making hundreds. That's why I love it, is because of how, when you're, it's super easy to apply. Mixing is the most important. I use an AR-45. You could use a 12 volt. You could use a pump up. You could use whatever you want. Just really mix it. My AR-45, once I have my product in the tank, I'll go ahead and put it on bypass and I'll just let it mix for 15-20 minutes. The application is super easy. It's actually easier than cleaning. You're just spraying it on at a consistent rate that you'll see the coverage. It's almost like a milky look. You will see the coverage. It will penetrate, it will dry, it will look clear and beautiful. Your ground guy, the only work the ground guy's doing is any runoff that does come off, you're just rinsing it off of plants and walkways and anything that it drips on. Just rinse it off before it dries. It goes away easy. It dilutes and goes away easy. The fascia, if you have runoff on the fascia because it doesn't have gutters, if your ground guy used an M5 twist, they put it on a fan setting, they can actually fan off the, thanks man. They can fan off the fascia before the product dries. It takes, depending on the heat and temperature, it takes over 20 minutes to dry. So it's not like you're having to really fly through it. You can rinse it off easy. Another benefit to this is that you're not stuck in any kind of a franchise agreement. You don't have to buy into a franchise that usually on average is $15,000 to $25,000 to get in, and they usually require you to take a tote. A lot of those are pre-mixed. Some of them will mix partially where you're still adding water, but you technically are buying water in your tote. This is a concentrate. You're not buying water. You're making it yourself. So when you buy a tote of this, it's a tote of concentrate. You're going to mix that 3 to 1. Not 1 to 1, 3 to 1. So you're going to get a lot more out of that tote. The coverage on a bucket is going to run you, depending on how thirsty the shingle or the road or whatever you're putting it on, depending on how thirsty that is, you're going to be looking at a minimum coverage of around 1,750 square feet, and then upwards to 2,000 square feet per bucket, per 5 gallons. So don't forget, you're mixing that with water, so it's not 5 gallons, it's a lot more. So any questions at all?
Nice point on that stuff. Is it expensive?
For the buckets, yes. Yes, it's very expensive. But the saying, it costs money to make money, holds true here. I don't mind spending the money on this because I'm making thousands when I use it. I have it on 13 roofs. Those sales were so fast and easy. And I got the money for cleaning them, and then I got the thousands for applying this. I can't wait till I have to buy more of it. I own a company that is dealing with this company. I could get it at a discount, but I still have to buy it, and I can't wait to buy more.
What's the dry time to apple?
It's all dependent upon the heat. I'm gonna go ahead and say, usually with about a half a day, they could drive on it.
It's transfer.
It's not like seal coat. No. It's gonna be right there. It's not gonna track the black stuff up your walkway. Yeah, and then it's not. If it does happen to overspray up onto the parking stoppers, it dries clear.
Okay. Mango Mauler, through proportioners versus batch mixing. Want to explain a little more on that?
Yeah. Most of the soak tanks that we encounter is usually in the 5 to 7 gallon range. There are more that are coming and hitting like a 7 to 12. And then you said, how many gallons you say yours? His is 27. So it basically just
So when my customers, for instance, we got Nick Summers, they just joined in with us, and they're batch mixing currently. But if they want to go to a proportioner system and they buy your Mango Mauler pouches, how do they set up for that tank? They dump it into their tank, and how much water do they add per gallon?
Well, the assuming that their soap tank is separate, all right, then if you just break it down by like 5 or 7 gallon tanks, then they would only have to put one in. If they want it super sticky and lots of foam, they're going to put in two into the 5 to 7. They're going to put 2 in. However, they're going to find themselves dialing back because you don't need that much.
It's super
It's very concentrated. But even if you do use if you are one of the people that like a lot of surfactant, it will still rinse extremely efficiently. It'll rinse fast.
Can we get the Mauler model line 55 down to 1?
No. The reason why is you'll have that drum for the rest of your dang life. You don't need to do that. A lot of the franchises, and these franchises, when they make a decision, they really study their cost, and they study their cost all the way through from the order, the logistics, the moving it in the shop, and using it in the field. They're switching to the Mango Mauler, and what they're doing is, depending on what they're doing, they're buying between 2 to 4 of these. They're mixing it into the 55-gallon drum themselves to make a concentrate. They will then pump that into their tank, their soap tanks, and dial accordingly. The directions are a suggestion. You dial in where you like it. However, that's how people are saving off of the drums. They're putting this hyper concentrate to make the concentrate, and then putting that into their soap tanks and changing the dial. So there is there's a I don't want to call it wrong, but there's a terminology that's happening within our industry where people are using the term batch mix incorrectly. A lot of people that will call and say they're batch mixing are taking a surfactant and dumping it right into their chlorine and calling that batch mix. That's dumping chlorine or dumping surfactant in the chlorine. Batch mix really happens when you put a specific amount of chlorine in a tank. Then you put your water, then you put your surfactant. And all that's usually happening under the 6%. So when you put anything in chlorine, chlorine's going to start breaking stuff down. Chlorine will break in a batch mix. Chlorine will break down the smell. It will start breaking down the smell. However, it is effective as a surfactant out past the 10-day mark. So it is bleach stable. But if you are dumping it straight into chlorine, chlorine will attack nails, chlorine will attack plastic over time, chlorine will attack damn near anything. A true batch mix is different than dumping anything in a straight chlorine.
Batch mix, it basically becomes Mauler, not Mango.
Correct. If you batch mix, it's Mauler, not Mango Mauler. After the first day. Batch mixing technically is made to use for a specific job at a specific time, and if you do it right, you really technically shouldn't have anything left over when you're done. And you batch mix for each thing. That would be the true definition of batch mixing. So, is there any questions? Is there anything I can answer for you guys? Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for listening about our products.